start to realize that there's this oneness in all this different spiritual paths, and there's these threads of truth.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. I'm so grateful to be with you. Oh, of course, we've got another wonderful guest. Yes, we've got a wonderful guest. She's I don't know, my experience with her is she's equal parts of like right down Broadway and like divine mystic, like she's got all this wonderful stuff to share with you around tuning into your spirit guides, and it's going to really help you to start awakening. So, but we've already agreed, me and Deepa, we don't know where the heck this show's going. We're just going to have fun. We're going to let it all flow, and you're going to have a great time with it, because that's the way we roll here on Spiritual Rockstar. And she's an accomplished artist and downloader and everything. So she'll tell more about herself, as we go along here. But so Deepa, it's really a great pleasure to have you on the show today.
Oh, well, thank you, Danielle. It's great to be here. It's always fun to get to share with another spiritual, I don't know if you call yourself a mystic, but I call people who are on the spiritual path mystics.
Yeah, it's funny that I use that word, right? I guess maybe I saw it in your bio or something, but yeah, it just kind of came in to use that word. But if you're on video, you guys can see. Look at all you wonder about the paintings in the background. Yes, she did all those. I asked her, that's the first thing I asked her when I met with her, one of the first things. And she says, yes, so that's all that cool stuff there. And so, she knows a little bit about downloading, because that's kind of part of where that comes from, some of that stuff, I'm sure. Looks like it anyway. And but yeah, what got you into were you awakened from day one, or did you, or how did it hit you? How did you encounter your deeper awakening path in this lifetime?
I wouldn't say I was born this way. In fact, I grew up in a family that was really not religious or spiritual at all. But I was curious as a teenager and in college. And so then I found the Buddhist path. That's why I call myself a Buddhist yogi, because I found the Buddhist path first, because I was really even what I would call agnostic. I was always kind of questioning, is there God, is there not? I don't really know, And so Buddhism fit me at that time when I was young, because I didn't have to answer the question about is there a God or not. But as I studied more and was on the path longer and, practiced longer, I started to realize that there's this oneness in all this different spiritual paths, and there's these threads of truth. And so I then found Yogananda by going to a yoga retreat, just not looking for another spiritual path, just wanted to go have a retreat, and Yogananda kept knocking on my shoulder, tapping me on my shoulder. And then I was like, and I could see the oneness of that. And then I went and got certified as a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher. And I was already meditating. I was chanting and meditating, and I had a practice I did every morning, every evening. That's why I wasn't looking for anything, because I'm like doing this practice every morning, every evening, been practicing for years. And but when Yogananda got me on the shoulder, I was like, wow, I really see, stepping into this interfaith thing. And that's when I started focusing more on interfaith, not just on Buddhism or just yoga, but really just honoring all paths that are out there. And I really honor whatever people do, as long as it makes them like a better person in the sense of growing spiritually. Because, I don't really like to use good and bad, or better and worse. But, we're all looking to expand in our growth. And if they're doing a path that makes or helps them to grow and expand, that's why we're on this planet, is to grow and expand. So.
So I want to go back to Yogananda tapping on your shoulder. Was that the first time you had experienced a mystical sort of experience like that, or is it something that you had other people tapping on your shoulder before that? I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah. Well, I had experiences of manifestations happening, where I saw how like the laws worked. In the Buddhism I practice it, they call it the mystic law. And so I saw great things manifest in my life, but not where I felt like, like a saint. Because Yogananda, when he came tap me on the shoulder, he was already out of his body, so, but I just felt like he's really speaking to me and like encouraging me to go deeper in this yogic path. And that's why I didn't go to yoga teacher training and meditation teacher training to become a yoga teacher or anything. I went to deepen my own understanding and connection, with Yogananda and spirit and God, So, but I was a very non-visual person. I didn't have any kind of visions or anything for years. And I meditated and chanted for years. And I share this because I let people know, like, I want them to understand that you have these gifts. Just because you don't see them yet doesn't mean they can't come. Because it was years on the spiritual journey of me being non-visual. If someone did a guided meditation, they'd say, oh, visualize the golden ball of light, or see the red rose. I mean, I'd see nothing. I'd have experiences, but they were not visual. And so it wasn't until I got into painting that my wife had recommended, take this oil painting class. Because I was kind of like drawing a little bit, never done any formal classes or art classes, but so she encouraged me to do it. And so I did this painting class. I was like, I really love this. I want to do this. And I started taking art classes every day almost, during the week. And it was time for me to paint a person. And I thought, I want to paint Yogananda. And that's where the idea came that I want this painting to be, infused with his power, his blessings, and his energy. And had this kind of miraculous experience where I got done painting him and put him up and came back a week later, and someone who had never seen the art studio comes up to me and asks me, oh, are you the one who painted Yogananda? And I was like, oh, yes, I am, and she says, oh, well, I just have to tell you, when I look at this painting, I see his, I feel his energy, I see his power, and I feel like I'm being blessed by him. And those were all the intentions I did before, as I'm creating him, I'm oming the canvas, and I'm listening to his voice, and I'm wanting, everyone to feel blessed by him when they see the painting. And so on the outside, I was like, oh, thank you. But on the inside, I was like, oh my God, it worked. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, it worked, And so then I did it again with Our Lady of Guadalupe and had this very similar experience where, I don't know if you know about Our Lady of Guadalupe, but there's a miracle where this image of Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared on a tilma, and it's still hanging in Mexico. And it has been on this tilma, which is really a cloth that breaks down easily. It's peasant cloth. And so it should be gone by now. It was like over 500 years ago. But it's not. And it's hanging there with this, not exactly like the image I did, but I basically took the image and recreated it slightly differently in the way I felt like it, and infused it with the blessings of the original, the miracle. And some woman who comes in the art studio when I finished her up said, oh, she's so beautiful, and I can feel her blessings. And I know I've seen the original. I'm from Mexico. And, I was like, oh, thank you again. But on the inside, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is working, And so that was kind of like the beginning because I had been combining the act of creativity and spiritual practices, and that desire of creating these spiritual portals. I didn't call them portals back then. They were just, I wanted to create like these paintings that had that carried that vibration and that blessing. And then lo and behold, I kept, kind of having this intention, and was meditating one day, and vision came in. I was like, the first time it was like, what's that? Because I just was used to not having visions, so I was like, what's that? And I realized, like, okay, don't ask what's that, just keep meditating. And so I kept meditating, and they kept coming, and they were like movies. They still are like movies when they come. So they aren't static like the portal, but I realized they were spirit guides coming to me. They started giving me downloads, intuitive messages, and telling me like, oh, I want you to infuse into this portal, this doorway, this particular blessing. So each vision comes with, here's what I'm trying to bring to the planet and to the spiritual souls that are looking to grow spiritually. And so it kind of progressed from there, me seeing that, oh, these are all tools to help people in their awakening process, and they help
Mhm.
people remind them that they're not alone, that there are spirit guides, because we can't see spirit. So a lot of people only want to
Right.
believe in what they can see with their visual eyes.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, so so when you started having these experience, well, first of all, with yoga nine, I'm gonna go back to that first because I'm just curious. Were you already studying, things from Yogananda or anything, or just he just spontaneously just kind of came to you, and you're like, just you knew of him, but like you weren't really that connected to. I'm just curious how these things happen because, like when I always had a connection with Jesus, I guess, because I grew up in a Christian religion, right? But yet I had these profound experiences of Jesus coming into my field along the way, without getting into it right now. But I wasn't trying to make that. I just, spontaneously would come to me, different things. But like, so was it like, were you kind of surprised, like, whoa, Yogananda is here? Or was it like, oh, okay. Like, or how was it? I'm just curious, like, if you already had a connection with Yogananda that was conscious.
Um, The only connection I had was my wife was reading autobiography of a yogi. She had seen how like
Ah,
devout and disciplined I was in my Buddhist meditation practice, and she was like
yeah,
looking for something for herself. So the
yeah,
book was around me, but I hadn't
ah,
even read the book at that point. And she was like,
yeah,
we need a little vacation. Let's go to, this yoga retreat that is based on Yogananda for 3 days and go and take a little time off. So I was like, okay, I'm up for it. So that I went there, and they would have these what they call sadhanas, which for people who don't know yoga, it's spiritual practices basically. And they had a morning and early evening, and so I would go to them, and the person leading it would always they would do like some yoga, some devotional chanting, and a meditation. And so the person would always say a little bit before we'd go into meditation, and every time there was like this little quote or something she'd read, I'd go, it would resonate with me, and and then I would meditate with everybody, and I was like, oh, I'm loving this, let me keep doing it. And by the end of the second day, I could just I feel like Yogananda is tapping me on my shoulder. So by the time I painted him, I had already been like, I'd become a disciple where I studied his teachings and was still Buddhist because the teachings from Yogananda and his gurus, they don't, t- some of the organizations will tell you you have to let things go, but that's the people. These teachers do not tell you if you have a certain, like you could be Christian and still practice the things that Yogananda teaches. They don't try to
right,
get you to stop doing something that speaks to you. So I
right,
continue to be Buddhist, and that's why I call myself a Buddhist yogi now, because I was starting to do the yogic stuff and my Buddhist stuff because it just, for me, fit. Like I could see the oneness of
yeah,
it. I didn't feel torn between them or like I can't do them both. I just,
yeah.
like, so that's kind of what happened. But by the time I painted him, I did have a connection with him.
Interesting. Yeah. I always wonder about, the soul agreements there may be, or, how it all, where it all kind of emanates from is always fascinating to me. Now, you talked about um open, so yeah, that's a common challenge that people have, like that they talk about. I don't have the clairvoyance or whatever, and that's something I've had to, you know, run up against a lot. I've had the pleasure of running up against with teaching people energy, something like energy scanning, right? So I was, but it seems like people are starting to understand like more so these days. When I first got started, people were just too fascinated with clairvoyance. They're like, oh, you got if you don't even have anything going on until you got clairvoyance. It's like that's the real deal. Like, it's so funny. Why? Because you watch TV, so you think you need to see it visually, or I don't get it. Like, why you think that's the real deal, and where everything else didn't matter as much. So I'm glad that but that opened up then, and then so in that case, were you surprised? Like, oh my God, you were kind of surprised at something. Like, whoa, there it is. 'Cause when that sense started coming in, Was it like completely spontaneous, or do you feel like you were setting the intention? I want to see, and or is it
No, it was
just
spontaneous.
spontaneously?
It was
Yeah.
spontaneous, yeah. Like I said, I just figured that's the way I was wired, that I wasn't wired to have
Okay.
visions, and so I just was meditating, and all of a sudden it came in one day, and that's the thing is that I tell people, like when you were talking about people think clairvoyance is, like, oh, this is the thing. I tell people if you want your spiritual gifts, because, I have this little Your Spiritual Gifts Revealed download I give people if they want to like get it, because people don't realize what their gifts are really. And one of the biggest things that blocks you from growing in your spiritual gifts is your attachment to what shows up. So if
Hmm.
you're trying to be clairvoyant, but that's not the gift that's going to come to you, you're going to miss what is coming
Right.
to you. And so I
Right.
tell people you want to not have attachments to, like, you have a friend that has this gift and you want what like hers or his, that you have to let that go, because the gift that's supposed to be revealed for you, it might not be the same one. So because
Right.
before I was visual, I'm an empath, so I sense emotions and things from people. I had spiritual gifts that some people might not recognize as a gift, but like, if you know how you go to like maybe a festival or something where there's thousands of people going and there's no parking spots. Well, I had the gift that I could find a parking spot. I could, because I was empathic or am empathic, I could go there and feel where there's an open spot. So we'd go and, people are like, where's the parking spot? And I'd be like, oh, turn here, turn here, turn here. Oh, there's a spot. Zoop, we got a spot.
Right. Right.
So that's a gift, but people wouldn't recognize it if they're trying to be clairvoyant.
Right,
So,
exactly. I mean, miss the glory of the gifts you already have on board. That's what I always tell people. Start with the gifts you have, because what I believe happens is the more you focus, this is how I teach it, the more you focus on that clairsentient, gift you have, then eventually it helps open up everything else if you keep focusing and honoring that gift, right? Whoa, now this one I'm aware of that. I feel like it's always there in a way, right? But once we open more and more and relax into it more, and all of a sudden the other senses reveal themselves more in our awareness, right? And so, and then cool stuff like spirit guides start popping in. And so, is that what you're saying? Is the spirit guides sort of really reveal themselves, made themselves more known when you opened up with the clairvoyance or the seeing, or was that well before that?
well, I agree with you what you said about, our gifts are always here. It's just a matter of is
Mm,
our awareness and our understanding of how to use them. Yeah, are you knowledgeable, awake enough to understand that? Because, I always tell people when you're on the spiritual path, especially when you're not new. Okay, if you're new, yes, some of it's like woo, but after you've been on for a while, there's no new. It's about deeper understanding of the truth. And that
mm,
deeper understanding is not just in your mind, but in how you live your life. Are you able to apply it? Because that's part of the process of awakening is how do I apply the spiritual truth, more deeply, more profoundly in my own life so that I see change in my life, that I see the desired results I want in my life. And that doesn't mean you get everything, that you want, because sometimes what you want is something from your ego, not from your heart. And it's about, but you are going to get all the truths in your heart when you begin to grow and awaken, and I really
right,
believe that.
absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. We'll as they say, double click on that one for a second, because yeah, that's something I've had to realize again and again, because I've got a really strong mental, mechanism that wants to make it happen and all that stuff. And I found like, but the truth is like I'm constantly manifesting the desires in my heart. Like those come easy, but they get discounted. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I manifested that. Whatever. They
Yeah,
can be total miracles. There's huge blessings, right? But the thing I was focused on in my mind that didn't come to pass here, or not, and that's where the tough grade, then maybe you have to work harder at it, and all that kind of ideas come. But like when what's in our hearts, you're right. It's like that's what we want to focus on. What is your desires, your heart? Just let that be enough. You don't need to, try to chase all these other bunny rabbits or whatever you want to put it, put into a visual. But We don't need to. So if you're chasing clairvoyance, forget about it. It runs away from you. You're chasing money, it'll run away from you, right? You're chasing spirit guides, it may not come to you, right? So you may not sense them. So, but for you, was it spontaneous with the spirit guides too, or is it, you decided, okay, or were you able to connect with spirit guides right away when you were first introduced to spirit guides?
No, it was totally spontaneous. I mean, I knew about spirit guides, and most of this, what I knew about spirit guides were animal spirit guides, from the Native American kind of tradition of, that. But I never had a vision. It was like spontaneous, and it started happening, and then it started to get to the point where every meditation was happening, for a while, and I'd be like, I don't even know what am I supposed to do with all these visions I get. Because sometimes it would be a vision of a Mother Mary. I have a strong connection with Mother Mary, but sometimes it'd be a vision of an angel, and then sometimes it would be a vision of like a light being that didn't look like anything we see on the physical plane. So and sometimes the Mother Mary would look, like this, where it's more like it's not a person, So I'd get these different visions, and then I came to a place where I would just meditate and kind of watch the movie happening, because they would come and it would be like a movie. There'd be this kind of moving thing, and the only thing I would ever do sometimes is, and I still to this day do it this way. Sometimes a vision comes in, I do not know who they are, and so I'll ask, "Who are you?" Or what's the blessing that you have now? But I didn't in the beginning ever ask that because I didn't know that they were coming here for blessings in the beginning. I was just going, interesting. I'm become a visual person. After the meditation, I would think that. And then I was like, okay, well, let me just sit with it. And then that's when I started getting like, oh, there's a message in here. So like I have this Holy Mary Mother of Healing spirit guide portal. It's a smaller one, and it was this vision of this green beautiful light, but then this darkness all around her, and I just was with it. But then the message came in in order to heal, you have to be willing to go into the darkness. And she had a whole blessing of that because, people are always wanting to avoid or stay away from things they're fearful from, or, and that actually is what makes people get stuck or, feel like they're unclear about things or don't know what to do next, because they're not willing to address the very thing they're afraid of, the darkness, what we want to avoid. And so that was the blessing she wanted me to infuse into her. So they've all kind of come with something like that where they're wanting to bring like this awakened consciousness, that helps people like heal and step into their gifts and, become the awakened soul that they really are. Because we already are that already. It's just a matter of we have to learn how to keep our attention on it. If that is the most simplest way I can say it.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I first was starting with all this stuff, I had the positive, PMA, positive mental attitude. I was, utilizing my gifts with, channeled prayers and doing my scanning or whatever. And manifesting techniques or whatever, all this stuff. But then I remember someone taking me through a process with money, for example. Like they're like, all right, so visualize money. What do you see? I say, and then of course I'm so I program my mind so much for positivity. Oh, it's great. It's this, is that. No, now let's take a deeper look now. Like it's like once it forced me to look deeper at it, it's like, all right, well, I see this other thing too, though, and like,
yeah, because it's those little wolf things that are blocking it, right?
Avoid this stuff. Yeah, we're trying to avoid it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those little things that you don't want to look at that are actually blocking it. Don't you find that with your energy scanning? That's kind of what's happening.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm picking up on, right?
Yeah.
There's at times they've done a lot of different, like I've had psychics read me a million times. I get a lot of those people too. So they're like, yeah, and they kind of know all this stuff, but then there's certain but you still haven't, it hasn't been looked at enough apparently, or you haven't dealt with it yet, right? So it's still here. And a lot of times people are like, I thought I already cleared that one. I'm like, yeah, well, no, they've got more to give to you, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't that people think, oh, got cleared once, it's gone forever. And it's like sometimes that's true. And
Right.
sometimes there's another layer. I tell people, I mean, and that's the thing about when I work with the spirit guides in my mentoring coaching programs is that when they came in, when they started appearing to me, they said, oh, we want to help in your coaching programs. And I'm like, all right, but then they pick everything up by a different consciousness than we do as people. So I started seeing where they would zero in on the issue the person was having that was blocking things, even though the person hadn't told me. And that was the
Mhm.
miraculous part was they would say, well, they're telling me blah, 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 to the person. And they'd be like, I don't want to do that, man. And you'd see a big reaction, because the spirit guys are wanting to heal that. Okay. And I said, well, from my experience, I really encourage you to do it if you can, because something's going to happen if you do. Can't tell you what, but and then they would do it and they'd see like you'd see a healing, like, with it. And then they all of a sudden now would be able to start to step into the consciousness of, what it is they're desiring and their heart's desire. Because so many people are not connected to their heart's desires, that
Mhm.
that I would see these miraculous things. But the spirit guides keep presenting themselves even more to me, like at some point I was doing the creating of the spirit guide portals, and then I got like another download, which was like spontaneous. I wasn't asking. And they said, oh, we want you to put on your website that you can tune into someone's energy and see their personal spirit guide that's here to help them overcome like a major challenge or manifest their purpose. And I was like, all right, I'll put it on my website, but I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. So I go and I put it on my website, but I was afraid to tell anybody, so I didn't tell anybody for a year. Like, I had it on my website, but you had to go find it. So
Right, right,
nobody
right.
ever said anything about it because I was like afraid to say anything. So it wasn't until I kind of got the download from one of my guides saying you're being in the spirit closet about spirit guides and you need to come out. So I did at some business training. And I wasn't
Mhm.
expecting anything to happen. I just was like, letting myself come out and say, oh, about the spirit guides and you have a personal spirit guide and blah, blah, blah. And sat down. Nothing happened at the training. But the next day, I got home 24 hours later and I had an email that said, I'm looking at your website and I see you do this personal spirit guide portal. I think I want one. Can we meet? And I was
Mhm.
just like, oh my goodness, like, and that's like a miracle to me because I was like, I didn't do a thing to get that person,
Right.
other than I'm like, let me come out of the spiritual closet. Let me like actually
True,
speak my truth.
true desire that I call it. True
Exactly.
desire of the heart that just, I'm ready, I'm open enough. Yeah, 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 and then it just tips in, right?
So, and
So yeah,
that experience with that person showed me I could do it. And I was worried the whole time whether I could do it or not. And I thought the way I got myself to do it, even though I was afraid, I thought, well, worst case scenario is I got to give her money back.
right, there you go.
Because
Yeah,
I'm
that's
charging,
safety
and I'm like,
mechanism.
yeah, I'll give her her money back if it doesn't work.
That's why when I tell people if they're doing something new, like energy healing, for example, they're just getting started. I'm like, well, the path of progression, do it for free, then charge something, low amount. Once you start seeing how well it works, you'll have confidence to charge more and more what you should be charging, right, so to speak, and owning more of the value, the worth of it, and everything. And because I think 80, 90+% of us that want to do more healing for other people in a bigger way are meant to charge. I'm not dogmatic. It's not like I'm like every healer, in the world should be charging and have these businesses and stuff. No, if you don't want to do that, then it's not part of your calling. And I think it's okay if people don't want to do it. But I think like if you're called into it, most people are kidding themselves. They want to get paid. They want to do it. They want to get paid. But I think it like you're a great inspiration to people because although you had this really superpower with the clairsentience for a long time, I guess it sounds like, previous to all this, the rest coming online more and more, you didn't have the trust or confidence in it. Sounds like most people, right? You didn't have a lot of trust and confidence in it, especially to maybe help other people or whatnot. But like the way I see you is you're basically an embodied spirit guide, right? Oh, you can talk to them and you can talk to me. I'm here from the human perspective though too. So, it's kind of cool too, right? So like I see you as like an embodied spirit guide,
Well,
It's like,
I do my best to actually be that in the sense of,
yeah, yeah.
move my little self aside and let the divine flow through in what I say and what I speak. Now, obviously, I'm not self-realized yet. So, that's what I want this in this lifetime though. So I do my best to kind of let like God be the doer, God be the sayer, my spirit guides, let them speak through me rather than my ego self, trying to figure out what to say. So
Mhm.
obviously I don't do it all the time, but it is one of my aspirations that I'm on the path of awakening for me to really
Mhm.
let the divine flow through and guide my words and my actions and, kind of go from there because I do find when I do it, life is a lot easier and flows a lot more.
Right, right, right. I mean, like whatever it is, like you're looking for the link to get on the show today. I'm like, some part of me, I don't think I mentally predicted it would happen necessarily, but like part of recognition we have on everything. I feel we all have it to some degree, but like, yeah, I figured this would happen. All right, so send her. So it's the perfect peace because you're in acceptance of whatever comes your way. Like whatever happens is just like if you tune in for a second, slow down and don't go in reactivity, right? You're like whatever it is, like I kind of sense maybe something like this is coming, right? If I'm honest, right? So like I think the more we can just recognize like everything is meant to happen, and the only suffering we had was like last night. I will say I went in intense suffering last night. I was I had to put in a new credit card to my Apple account and everything, and the way it is like I go in, and this has happened before. You go in and it won't take all the information, like the CVV or whatever. It won't take it. Like you put it in and it won't take it. Like it just keeps charging your credit card and removing the charge. So anyway, I was working on this for 40 minutes. And I knew like this could come up, right? I knew it already. I'm like, okay, be tested, no problem. I'm calm, I'm peaceful. This is not a problem. I'm just gonna keep at it till we work it out. No problem. But after 40 minutes, then I started to unravel a little bit and a little bit more, a little bit more. For about 20 minutes later, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I was so livid, just absolutely kind of raging, really. I mean, I was just like, I was just like a stupid Apple company or so stupid. Why can't they fix this stupid thing? And everything. And I had to let all that go, of course. But yeah, I mean, like we all prone to reactivity, but like the more we can, but I was grateful to myself because I says you did way better. You would have got frustrated like 5 or 10 minutes years
Yeah,
ago.
that's exactly. You want to look at the
Right.
improvement. That is what yeah, I always tell people. It's not about being perfect. It's about the improvement or
Right.
the direction you're facing.
Right.
And like the thing, I could get like that too, Danielle. And my practice has been to like when I feel a little bit of frustration coming to stop. And I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
better
that's
at
the way
that.
to do
Where
it.
like I
Right.
can feel
That's
a
the
little
idea.
bit coming, and I'll go, oh, you know what? Divine Mother's telling me to put this down, and I'll have to do it tomorrow because I can feel my frustration coming.
Right.
So,
Right.
and it's still a practice because sometimes I get more frustrated. And I'm like, okay, I don't let this go. But I try to get it on the first feeling now of like, okay, I can
Yeah,
feel the frustration starting.
yeah.
I
That's
need to
wise.
like stop, and
That's
I'll
what I would
finish it
teach
tomorrow.
people to do too. That's what I teach people to do too, but we don't always do it.
Yeah,
So like,
it's part of growing.
yeah, but I mean, I didn't get it solved. I didn't fix it, so to speak, or get it done. But because I realized, okay, this could be an endless hole of frustration. You're not effective whatsoever anymore. You're just going crazy. So just let it go. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm done for now. And I was even like, I'm done, period, with the whole thing. Like I had so many dramatic thoughts at the moment, and of course, all of it calms down later. But I just like was so upset about it in that moment. But like, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. But the faster, yeah, you can stop. Well, with a minute, you get that contraction, and then sometimes, yeah, like that's where spirit guides could come into play too. Like, I'm not sure what to do. I tell my students to do nothing, right? You don't know what to do, do nothing. Just didn't do it fast enough last night. You don't know what to do anymore, do nothing. And then somehow like the answer did come to me later tonight. I'm like, oh, I bet if I do that, it'll work now. But I'm like, okay, screw it. I am not touching it again tonight, though. Like,
Yeah,
but
it's
after I let go, right? It's after you let go. Then I always say, even when I do my scans, I always say they're talking to me. But they're saying, who's talking to you? I don't know. I just assume it's like more cosmic consciousness, guides, whatever. I don't even know. Like, I don't bother to ask who's talking to me, right? But I just they're saying, like it's just like how it comes to me. So yes, something, the source or whatever, something came in and like, oh, it'll work if you just do that. Oh, okay, great. But I could
have
have
you
got
ever
the
asked?
answer. No, well, because I felt like I was doing every single thing right based on like following the flow of what I was being asked to do with the prompts and everything. But at times I felt frustrated, like, but wait a minute, this should work. Why isn't it working? Then I just, oh, okay, I'll ask AI because AI's got a lot of information about all this type of stuff. AI couldn't figure it out either, right? So that's when I got really frustrated. Then I had to come back to the lesson. Can't rely on any of that stuff. You got to come back to your intuition, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that's fascinating. In the era of AI, we think like it always have the answers or often will, but like, yeah, often doesn't know either. It has no clue. But at least they have some more answers than we used to have. We used to have to, okay, try to call customer service at Apple. Good luck, getting through to, like, for example, right? I mean, it's we have we have like more potential to get answers, but also potential to get more hooked and more out of connection with our own guidance. I probably would have had the answer a lot faster if I just had just stopped it all, right? Like you said, the minute I got the contraction coming in around it, oh, this should work, and let go. I probably, if I had centered myself, I would get the answer maybe right away, potentially, right? So, or just walk away from it. So you're right. I mean, totally. I mean, that is the answer to do. I teach it all the time. I just say like I got caught it last right. I like to teach from like my where I didn't follow through on what I normally would do or say, say to do as well, right? Both. And like, okay, oh well, that happened. But I created it by the belief that I struggle with this thing with Apple, right? That's how I created it too. I created it. I'm like, oh, I struggle with this thing. Okay, there you go. You said you struggle with it. There you go. So yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the path of awakening is
Yeah.
it's this awakening of becoming aware is the very first step, and our awareness, everybody has a different level of awareness. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people like why meditation is such a good practice because it raises your level of awareness. And our awareness is our
Right.
first ability to actually go, oh, you know what? Let me stop doing something out of habit, which is our programming,
Right.
our
Right.
subconscious mind, and let me make a conscious choice to actually come from truth, from spirit. Because
Mhm.
in yoga, we talk about the subconscious, conscious, and superconscious mind. A lot of the people talk about the subconscious and conscious, but they don't talk about the superconscious. And I tell people the superconscious is that part of you that's connected to your higher self, to higher power, to God, to, the spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. Okay. It doesn't matter what the name, it's all oneness.
Mhm.
Okay. But we have
Mhm.
to make an active choice to come from that. It's we don't reside in it being in a physical body without making that choice. And so
Mhm.
if you're on the path of awakening, it's a continual process day by day, moment by moment to make that choice. Because, if something
Oh
sets
yeah,
off a
right.
programming or an
Totally.
emotional wound, a reactive wound, like you have to breathe and take a moment. And the reason why your breath is so powerful is when you calm your breath, it calms your mind. It's just the way the physical body is
Right.
wired. And so that gives you
Right.
that moment you need to go, wait a minute, I'm going to choose something different here. I'm not going to react this way. Yeah.
Right, because I'm sure my breathing was. Now, this was late in the day too, mind you, and you're prone to
Yeah.
making or mistakes, so to speak, in a way,
Yeah.
like things that you might not normally do. Like I'm like, no, I need to finish the day strong. Get this done. I got the willpower going and stuff. But I always suffer from my willpower at the end of the day. These days, like it's not so great. It's like, no, just let it go, and I just yeah, I'm telling you, I was serene the first 35, 40 minutes. I was totally fine. And all of a sudden, I started bogging down.
Well,
We
you
all have
should,
that stuff like, man, I'm doing so good with something, right? Man, I have such a blissful, I have, I'm a enlightened being now, right? we might come up with that idea, like some of us, and like all of a sudden, yeah. They say what, like until your mom calls or whatever, like whatever it is.
Well, we've all been programmed that, power through, do it, and that,
Right.
especially in America, that's the programming we get. So you're going up against the programming we get from childhood, to be
Yeah.
that way. And so
Right,
it's,
right.
takes
Yeah.
a little energy to make that change.
Yeah. But my point is, I'm way past where the vast majority of people on the planet are with that type of stuff, right? And yet I could get snared too. That's why I brought it up. I'm not, So me getting that upset about something like, about technology is actually not unusual. That's where my growing path is, right? Like that's one of the areas where I get frustrated. I'm like, this should work. I mean, I get all of that stuff, and it's just ridiculous. Like, why should it work? Like I could take just the opposite. It's a miracle when it works, right? Any of this works is a miracle, right? And
Well,
yet,
like if I see something not working with technology, I usually will go, is it Mercury retrograde? Because it somehow
right,
wraps my brain around to go, okay,
yeah,
this is just because of
there it
Mercury retrograde. I can let this go,
is.
because, we want it. When technology works properly, we love it. But when it doesn't, it
Right,
frustrates us. So,
right.
but it's like, everything event in our life, to me, is an opportunity to assess, like,
Oh yeah,
where you are spiritually, and not to judge yourself, because it's never about judging. It's about assessing, like, oh, I
right,
did better on that. I did
right,
better than I usually do with that. I was much more
right,
patient.
right,
And, oh,
right.
well, I kind of fell off the wagon there. Let me get back on.
Right.
You know, 'cause,
Fiery end, but hey,
yeah,
great beginning and middle. Like, yeah. Yeah, no, I was proud of that aspect of it. And even in my fieriness, it had made certain things move that, because I was in that state and I communicated to my wife, it actually made movement in some positive levels too. I mean, now the so my point is, even within like the sense of, oh man, I took the banana peel kind of thing, slipped on the banana peel. It's like, no, but still, it had some positive results, even though you were in a fiery mess at that moment. And moved some energy somewhere else that needed to be moved as well. So that was good. So it's all good ultimately, just doing our best. So now when you teach as you're teaching about people connecting with their spirit guides, for you initially a lot of it just spontaneously is happening. Now some people feel like they can't connect with their spiritual guides or they don't know if they're getting any messages. How do you help people that feel like I'm curious how you go about it, like, you know how can we go about connecting with them?
well, everybody has spirit guides. You have some that are
Mhm,
with you your
mhm.
entire life, and some that just drop in for something that's going on that you need help with. And the first thing I tell people, and it's really simple, is to really like open up your arms and open and receptive to receiving my spirit guides, to connecting with my guides. Because
Mhm.
we've been so programmed to only believe what we see with our naked eyes that people are usually in skepticism. Like, is this true? Can this really happen? And if you're always doubting, how you're going to receive the message, because they're actually communicating to everybody right now. You just don't
Mhm.
understand what they're communicating and how they you don't understand the language. It's like
Right,
someone speaking to someone when you speak English who speaks French or Chinese or, Greek or something. We hear the words, but we don't know what it means. Okay. But
right,
in
right,
most people's cases with their spirit guides, they don't even recognize the communication because they're
right.
thinking it's going to be words. And it often, when they
Mhm.
first start communicating to you, it is not words.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah. It may just be what are some of the things you come as other than words in your experience? I know obviously images and yeah, what are some of the other ways you've noticed it comes to people?
Well, if somebody's like an empath, like I am, it most likely is going to come in first as a sensing.
Right.
And I don't use the word feeling because it's not necessarily an emotion. It's a sensing of like maybe a pull, or like a sensing of like something in your body that makes you go like, I think that this is sending like communicating something to me. And sometimes it's a sensing of like you get some kind of tension or pain in your body, or you notice like an expansive feeling in your heart. So I learned in the beginning that like anytime I felt an expansive feeling in my heart chakra area, that was a yes. And if it felt like it was contracting, that was a no.
Yeah.
So that had nothing to do with words. It was definitely sensing, and even to this day, when I work with my clients, like my spirit guides will speak to me in different ways. Sometimes it's words dropping in. Sometimes it's a vision, sometimes it's a sensing. And I'm the translator, I tell people. So I translate what I think it means and I tell you, but sometimes it lands in the person, they go like, I don't know, and so then I'll go tune back in. Okay, well, am I misinterpreting this? Give me some more. And then they'll either drop some words in or show the image shifting and changing, so like one time I had this client that, I have this one spirit guide that's a sword of light. It's a vision I had in an Archangel Michael retreat. And I came home, it was the fastest portal I ever created because I just was like, felt like, wow, this is supposed to be spirit guide portal of the sword of light. Okay. So that spirit guide came in and said, I don't know what this really means, but I'm going to tell you, this sword of light is showing me that you're supposed to take this sword of light to bed with you. So that it blah, 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 and I give all the message, okay? And I said, but I don't know exactly why they're telling me. They're just telling me. She goes, interesting. She goes, when my husband travels, I get very fearful. And I even sometimes go get a knife and put it like, someplace to make her feel safe. And so I was like, oh, okay, the sword of light is saying to take it to bed with you because it's going to give you a feeling of safety. And it's going to, and she started doing it like it's mentally, like intentionally you do this. And she said, the thing ever since I did it, I don't have any more fear when my husband goes and travels. So I was like, all right, like,
That hurts.
I don't know. Yeah, I just relay it. I don't judge. Like sometimes it sounds kind of crazy to me, like it doesn't make any logical sense. Not crazy, but logical. But I just go, well, this is what's coming through. I'm going to let you know. And then I'll tune back in if it doesn't make sense to you. So,
yeah, I mean, I think it gives you a sense of power and confidence and all that stuff, like something like that. Like, because I've constructed swords of light and whatnot, and I just and so I think like uh, that just like the part of me that might feel like threats could come my way and things like that, like it makes me feel safer, like at some level, like an extra tool, right? Oh, this thing happens, I'll just take out my sword of light and I'll put an end to that, or what? Like, like it really is. It's like another, because literally, if you believe that's an actual like sword, it will behave like a sword. We know this. Like it's so fun to me. Like it's like a fun idea to play with, right? And it becomes a reality. So I think that's cool. Like, you brought that up because I'm like, I wonder how many other people do this type of thing. Come up with these sword of light or whatever, and light shields, and we talk about it with Archangel Michael, right? With his sword and his shield and things like that. But um, so anyway, but it's cool. Like you get these really interesting answers. Or I was told to put on wet socks once, and I was just like I just did it. I'm gonna do it. I don't know why you're asking me to put wet socks. I'm like, oh my God, I feel really grounded now. I've been needing more grounding. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Innovative things that I would never think to do on my own. Right? You just get this, guidance. So I like that you start to discern like how you're getting your signals. But I think like for some people that get so in their heads, that's could be challenging for them still, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling more open, maybe I'm not, and
Well,
they still have.
it's a practice, I mean,
Yeah,
like that's what I don't have a current class now, but I do teach classes where I help people to, connect with their guides because,
yeah.
it's like I could probably tell you everything to do in a matter of like half an hour.
Right, right,
But
right.
will you do it? Number one, most likely not. And number two, not because, because people need some framework to put things in, but also they need to practice and get feedback, and so it's about maybe doing one part of it and seeing what happens, and then having someone to reflect things back to help you understand what's going on. Because sometimes people will tell me things and they don't think the spirit guides are communicating to them, and they start sharing some stuff with me, and I'm like, well, your spirit guide just communicated to you here. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize, because they're looking for words, they're thinking there's going to be words. And I'm like, it's not always, So like for me to get my own spirit guide, guidance, like I get stuff drop in, but sometimes it's dropping in so fast I can't keep up with it. Like when I do coaching and mentoring with people with the guides, I record it because I tell people I'm this channel flowing, it's flowing through. I might not be able to repeat it back to you.
Right.
Because unless I reconnect, like if I'm like blah 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 and all the stuff is coming out, I can't always well, it's not like me thinking in my head, this is what I have to say. I'm like opening up going, oh, I'm getting blah, 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 and stuff starts coming out of my mouth sometimes. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Sometimes I give guidance to a client that I'm like, I need to do that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I noticed like with my scanning, like if I'm super excited, like there's somebody who, done, I'll just say coaching with, some pretty high level people that names people everybody would know, things like that, right? And she's been around a long time, and not a lot of people probably know of her, but she's worked with powerful leaders in the space. Anyway, so I was actually was working with her, and I was so excited. I don't know, for something about her too, especially, and I was just so excited to share my gifts. I was like, man, I'm so amped up, and I'm and this happens in other cases too. Like if I'm on stage or something, I get really excited there too, right? So I'm just like, okay, I just talk it so fast, and it's just like this, and then there's other, not, no disrespect to anybody, like if I talk slow to you guys, I'm talking at the frequency I think that they need sometimes too, like I told one person the other day, I says, listen, I'm going gentle because I don't know how much you can take right now, so I put it in certain terms and ways and a speed and rate that I thought she could digest. And so, but I find like when I get really amped up, I'm around a powerful being or in a big group or something, like amped up group, I'm like, those downloads are coming like fast, way faster than you thought. All right, let me calm down here. It's really fun, and I appreciate your gift that you have. It sounds like there's some levels of it that may be a bit similar the way it comes into you, the way it may, because I'm very clairsentient, so it sounds a little bit like familiar when you say it's like the parking spot thing. I've done that too, where I'm like, just tell me where to go. All right, turn left, turn right, now go here. Okay, now look to the other side of the street, three spots down, it'll be right there. Just so that it will give me confidence in its voice, right? And then it'll happen exactly the way it says. To give me the confidence, I think is part of it. I, for my ego, like, oh, I'm so powerful. But like, so that I could see, like, no, you can really, if you listen really deeply, all the answers are there. It's so amazing.
Yeah, and calmness is one of the things that actually helps people to be able to start to sense it or hear it or feel it, because it comes in differently for different people. So, the spirit, and I always say the spirit guides are here to help you to get higher consciousness perspective. Because whenever you're having fear or trying to figure something out, or you're getting stuck in which one, indecision, you're in subconscious programming at that point. And so they come in to help give you that higher perspective, that higher guidance, so that you can go, oh, okay, and help you get out of that stuck place. Whether it's confusion or fear or anxiety, or just like it could be you feel like something's missing in your life and you're quite successful, but something's missing. Well, there's a reason why you feel like something's missing, because there's a part of you that's not letting you do what's true in your heart. And I know, because back when I was in my 30s in outside sales, I was making lots of money, had a house, cars, went on vacations, and I was like, "Is this it?" Like I'm like, like there's something missing. I could tell, and that's when I started. I was already on the spiritual path and journey and everything, but I could tell that this was not going to be where I continued in my life, because. And I kind of always knew it. I mean, even when I was in my 20s and I got into outside sales, at that time, people would ask me like, "Oh, do you really like?" "Oh, I do." I said, "But yeah, I don't foresee myself doing it probably until any later than maybe 40 or maybe even earlier." And I go, "Why?" I don't know. I just can feel it. Like it's something I'm doing now, and I'm not going to continue to do it. And when I got about 35, 36, I was like, I think it's time, to start
Already,
changing.
yeah.
Yeah, it served me well, got a house, got, and money. It gave me a confidence that I didn't have before I got in outside sales. The whole reason why my spirit guides led me to going into outside sales is because I had this goal of I wanted to buy a house before I was 30. And I lived in the Bay Area in California, one of the most expensive housing markets. And so I need to earn more money if I wanted to do that.
Right, right. That's
You know,
fantastic. I was in outside sales for copiers when I was in my 20s, although I was not successful at it, I would say, other than I was successful in staying employed. Like I would do just enough, get them just excited enough about what I was capable of that they would keep me around. But other than that, no, I didn't really do great gangbusters, but it was a great learning ground. It helped me with what I do now, obviously, because sales gets such a bad name. That's a whole nother podcast, right? But
it
it's
is. We could talk about that one because I tell people too many people have stuff around sales. And I say
yeah,
sales is just service. It's
yeah,
about
yeah, it is when
offering
done
something that's
properly.
going to
Yeah,
help people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sales is great when done again properly, like a lot of things, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I know you have some gifts for people. I got a couple of gifts. Yeah, you got so generous, and you're going to help them with some of the things we talked about. It looks like. So you want to tell them about the free gifts?
Yeah, I have this gift called Your Spiritual Gifts Revealed, and it's basically a little 3-page um, PDF that you can download, but it's got a list of the spiritual gifts. Many of them are ones that people don't even realize are gifts, but it tells you what the first step is you need to do to transform it into your gift. And it actually tells you how to do that. So that's it. And they just need to go to deepaloo.com, and it's actually on the front page. They can go on and put in, obviously, if they put in their email, you get on my list. So that's one gift. And then the other one is if anybody's ready to really, like I'm ready to get a coach or a mentor to help me with my spiritual growth and stepping into creating that life that I love and, manifesting your purpose. I have a complimentary connection call, and you just go to deepaloo.com/gift, and you can sign up and pick a time for us to meet, and we can see if we're a fit. Because, it's all about, are you a fit? Are you ready? Because I'm never wanting to work with clients who aren't ready, because, I'm not wanting to coach you if you're not ready, because I don't want to take your money if you're not ready. And so I always like to check to see, like, are people really ready? Are they ready to do something new and different? Because if you want to see change results in your life, something you don't have in your life, you got to do something to help change your consciousness, which is the first thing. And then, change some of your behaviors, which is the second thing. But the most important thing is to change, your consciousness, your belief system that's ruling your behaviors right now. So,
Right, right, totally. Totally. All right. Well, take advantage of those gifts you guys are called to. I mean, I'll tell you, she's really a powerful knower of things, that's for sure. So she'll have the scoop for you, I'm sure, and be able to guide you too if you let her. I'm telling you, she's like, that's part of my scan. I want to say it's part of the scanning spotlight to start it off. So we're gonna do an energy scan spotlight now. And we'll put the links, by the way, for her gifts, for her Deepa's gifts in the show notes, and sometimes we flash them on the screen on the video too. So check all that out. And anyway, so I want to do some energy scanning on your behalf. You ready, Deepa?
okay, I haven't done this with you before, so I just sit and relax, or what happens?
Just getting downloads. This is
Okay.
what we're talking about. Yeah. One of them is, just actually what I already mentioned is like you're an embodied spirit guide. I think that if you could utilize that to your sales advantage, I would say, your marketing advantage, to say something like that, because there's some truth to that. There's some kind of extra truth around you specifically. A lot of people could say that, but like there's a something deeper that's true about that. So I'll just leave it at that for now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tune in. Yeah, that's interesting with the sales because I see in your throat, like from the previous lifetimes, the like people not listening or paying attention to like they didn't like you or something like you're like I feel like this heart you had like some of the lifetimes, okay, a lot of lifetimes, but like this harsher energy is in there and it's like nobody gets me, and so but you kind of really wanted to help people is what it feels like. And so this lifetime your voice is still got the strength, but like you're actually like people, it's your energy is pleasant enough where people are pleasant, magnetic, where people actually are like, yeah, of course, I want to hear, oh my God, I love what you have to say, right? So now you've got that's like the beauty of that I see, like the what I see anyway, is like that how that shift, and it's really great. So I think like part of the people you would help are people that feel like nobody gets me, no one will listen to me. I can't get my way. And then higher achiever types say I can't get my way in certain ways in my life. And like I did all this, but what about this? And like probably relationships and things like that. But like so anyway, I see like how you've done this path and how you're part of it is you give a frequency when I connect with the spirit guides where now their frequency changes, their voice changes, their energy changes where the relationships will start to work better, right? Other things will work better too, obviously, but that's one of them. Okay, so let me just tune in from there. Ah, yeah, something about, I see like, um, yeah, I mean, I get heaviness in the back of your energy. Um, I don't know. It's something about, I don't know, if you were the prodigal child or something, but I get something like a lot is put on your shoulders. Like you have to do this or you have to, you have to achieve, you have to do great things, you have to do better than we did or something like that. So you've transcended levels of this, but I still can pick up on it in the field, of course. So you might, the coping mechanism might be to kind of try to let go of everything now at times, and yet that doesn't work either because that energy is a gift, right? It's there to say, man, you really do have strong, leadership capacities and gifts, and you're really powerful, and that's actually what they were trying to show you, but they were showing it to you in another way that was tense and like with those driving energy and you got to achieve. But like there's a gift in it that still wants to be realized of like the star leader, that you are. And um that but yeah, getting it where it's lighter, the sense of responsibility of the stewardship, the leadership that you can bring gets to be lighter and more fun and helps you to expand because if it's a heavy then you'll be out. So anyway, I see more levels of that if that makes sense. Deepa. So I just share it the way it comes. But yeah, so those are a couple of things coming through to share with you. And like again, everybody, I'm sure this is going to relate to some of you guys too. So, but yeah, Deepa, any quick reflections on what was coming through?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like when I was a kid, a lot of responsibilities put on me. My parents liked to go off, and I ended up having to watch my kid brother a lot. And so what was interesting about it was because when I first became an adult, I do have this kind of natural leadership thing that I didn't know I had. Okay, and people, I would always end up kind of falling into people wanting me to be the leader, and I didn't want to be the leader because I was tired of like all the responsibility, from having to do it when I was a kid. As an adult, I've come to more peace with it, but I won't say that from when you were saying that, I was like, oh, I think I do need to step into this more. I can't say that I've necessarily embraced it completely.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's, so that was helpful to like be able to hear that, to go, oh yeah, yeah, this was, when I was young, this was then, responsibilities put on me that I did not want. Because I was young, I was like a kid, 11, 10,
right,
11, and
right,
taking care of my kid brother, who was 7 years younger than me.
right,
And I
right.
didn't want it.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
so that was interesting. Very cool. Very true. And as far as the voice stuff, yeah, I think that I grew up in a family that was very blunt
Yeah.
and direct. And as I was growing up, I had to learn that a lot of people couldn't. They were not comfortable with hearing the truth, especially in a blunt way. But I learned as I was growing up to, like, I'm very much in telling the truth all the time, and integrity is a really big thing for me. Like, I don't ever want to
Mhm.
do something where I lie or I'm not in integrity with somebody. So I was like struggling when I was young, like, how do I tell the truth but not do it in a way that puts people off or hurts their feelings or
Right.
makes them feel like they're less
Right.
than. And I had to learn that as I was growing up. And so now I am much more like I choose my words more carefully. I still need to work on sometimes my tone of voice with my partner, but but how that is.
Yeah.
But I've learned to like think before, but I don't lie. I just choose words that are, able to hear it more because not
Yeah.
everybody's ready to hear the truth.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a lifetime of that for myself too, in my own way. Like, yeah, I mean, when I get animated, I have a sharper tone to my voice. I think because my voice is so probably nice and gentle or whatever most of the time, or energizing or fun and all that sort of stuff. Like, or just, more blunted. Like when it does get a bit sharper, like, let's go, even at that level, like just go a little harder, like. And people are really sensitive to it around me. Like my daughter, for example, like she'll be like, "Dad, I don't know about that tone right now." Like she feels the bomb like coming to. I'm like I'm barely animating my voice. And I'll be talking like something a little bit less than that, but like kind of like that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's barely anything. I mean, because I know like when I do my channel prayers, I'm like go even way harder, right? No, I go really strong with my voice and. But also with the truth, right? So the tone and the what I'm saying, I always, yeah. You tell the truth, like, yeah, the truth tellers are always like, oh my God, I can't tell the truth, right? Everybody's upset with me, right? So yeah, no, wait, that's great you share that because like there's a lot of people listening that have that path, right? Where the truth tellers and everybody is like you get persecuted or whatever, get shunned, ridiculed. Why don't you just listen to us? Why don't you just play the game with us or whatever? It's like, no,
Yeah,
sorry,
well,
pay attention.
I think if you carry, like my friends have always known, like if they ask me something, I say, well, I'm going to tell you the truth, so do you really want to know?
Right, right.
Or at least the
There you
truth
go.
from
That's a
my
good way to do it.
perspective,
Right,
And they're like, no, that's
right,
what I'm
right.
asking you. All right, like, and so I tell them, yeah, I say it in a nice way, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm not gonna, like, if you ask me, does this outfit look good for me or this haircut look, I'm not gonna lie and say,
You gotta
yeah,
be
it
honest.
does,
Yeah.
when it doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the
Um,
exact same way. I'm the exact same way. I can't. My daughter showed some. She does some modeling and stuff. So she showed a dress she was in, and I was like, but instead of saying anything about the dress, I just did one of those hands up kind of emojis or whatever. Like I just like
Well,
it's
well,
this
if they
crazy
don't ask, I
picture.
don't tell them, because they're not asking.
Right,
But if
right,
they
right, right,
ask,
right. She
then
didn't ask me
I'm
if I
not going
liked
to
it or
lie
not.
to
That's
you.
true. But people will ask me, and I'll tell the truth, and some people get offended still, right? They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"You asked me, what do you want? I'm not going to tell you not the truth, right?" So yeah, I totally relate.
yeah.
Anyway, well,
But if
it's
we're
been
the
really
creators of our reality, then what do we need to change in our own belief system? Because that's what I'm working on. Like,
right,
okay, like, what do I
right,
need to
right,
change in my own belief system? If I'm the creator
right,
of my
right.
reality, then I'm
Oh, of
finding
course.
people that aren't okay with hearing the truth.
Yeah, and
So
some people are starving for it. They're like, "No, go
right,
harder, tell me more," right?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there are other people who want to know the truth.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody, if you want to check me out, go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get the free meditate, make money meditation, where my voice is very encoded and blessed and soft and gentle and wonderful. And you can open up to actually, I do. I have you talk to your guides and everything in that one as well. And then you get your money downloads from them, right? So it's really attunes you and helps you to feel really good. Like I just hear a lot of people say, "Man, I really love this vibration." I don't know the money. Yeah, some people have manifested a lot of money too with it. Like they use it as a practice to build their business. So go get the free meditate and make money meditation at yoursacredpurpose.com, and then I can notify you. I can send you informative emails. I do coaching, teaching, downloads. To read my emails to you guys, and then I have free calls where I do scanning and clearings and. You get the podcast stuff, right? You get to learn about like what's coming up and who, the Deepa, this episode is here now or whatever. And so go ahead and check that out at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, Deepa. So any last words of wisdom for everybody?
I think we had a good talk. I think it's just about the one thing I would say. Say that out loud. I'm open and receptive to connecting with my spirit guides because the spirit guides are here to help you, and I want people to get help.
Yeah, let's do it the easy way, right? Let's keep tuning in. All right. Thanks so much, Deepa. I had a great time having you on the show. You had so many great things to share. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Blessings to everybody.
Blessings. Okay. And thank you to our listeners. Like I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till the next time.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.